A woman disappears, no forced entry, no suspects, and no clear answers. Weeks pass, and instead of clarity, the case only becomes more disturbing. Because sometimes the most dangerous crimes are the ones that don't look like crimes at all. This is the case of Nancy Guthrie. Nancy Guthrie was not someone who simply disappears. She had a routine, a stable life, no known enemies. People close to her describe her as careful, predictable, someone who didn't take unnecessary risks. Which makes what happened next even harder to explain. Because when someone like Nancy vanishes, it usually means one thing. Something went very wrong. Nancy Guthrie was not someone who simply disappears. She had a routine, a stable life, no known enemies. People close to her describe her as careful, predictable, someone who didn't take unnecessary risks. Which makes what happened next even harder to explain. Because when someone like Nancy vanishes, it usually means one thing. Something went very wrong. On what seemed like a normal night, everything changed. There were no reports of screams, no signs of panic, no neighbors noticing anything unusual. And yet, by the next day, Nancy was gone. No trace, no message, no explanation. Inside the house, something felt off. But not in the way investigators expected. There was no clear sign of a break-in, which raises a disturbing question. If no one forced their way inside, then how did this happen? Investigators began analyzing the scene carefully. At first glance, it didn't look like a violent crime. But the more they looked, the more questions appeared. Small details, things that didn't quite fit, objects slightly out of place, unusual positioning of items. And then something critical. The possibility that Nancy may have left the room willingly, or at least without immediate resistance, which opens the door to a chilling idea. What if she knew the person? As the investigation progressed, two main theories emerged. The first, a robbery that went wrong. An intruder enters, things escalate, and something goes terribly wrong. But there's a problem. The scene doesn't fully support that, which leads to the second theory. A planned abduction. Not random, not impulsive, but deliberate, carefully thought out. And if that's true, then this wasn't just an opportunity, it was a target. One of the most important questions is simple. How did someone get inside? There are three possibilities: forced entry, consensual entry, or prearranged access. But there were no clear signs of forced entry. And that changes everything. Because statistically, people do not open doors at night without a strong reason. So either the door was already unlocked, or Nancy trusted whoever was there. And both scenarios are deeply unsettling. Then came one of the most disturbing elements of the case: the presence of blood. Not enough to immediately confirm what happened, but enough to suggest movement. Something occurred inside that house. Something physical. Something that shouldn't be ignored. And more importantly, the distribution of that evidence suggests that Nancy was not alone. Possibly moved. Possibly taken. Which raises another question. Was there a vehicle involved? Cases like this are among the most difficult to solve, because they don't follow a clear pattern. There's no obvious suspect, no clear timeline, no definitive narrative, and history shows us something important. People can avoid detection for years, even while living normal lives, which means the person responsible may not be far away. And then there's another factor: public perception. When a theory gets repeated enough, it starts to feel true, even when it isn't. And that can push investigations in the wrong direction. Modern investigations rely heavily on technology. Phone data, location tracking, digital patterns, But there's a problem. Technology only works with what exists. It cannot create missing evidence. Even artificial intelligence can only organize data. It cannot fill in the gaps. And in this case, the gaps may be the most important part. After weeks of investigation, the truth remains hidden. No suspect. No clear answers. Only possibilities. And one unsettling reality. This may not be a disappearance. It may be something far worse. Because sometimes the most dangerous cases are the ones that look quiet on the surface, and the real question is no longer, who did this? But what are we still missing?